Hello, hello. This is David again, the cockroach, and I'd like to do another video on introduction number 2. I'm doing 2 introductions. I may do 3, 4, 100. I don't know until I get all the information out there that you're going to be able to defend yourself and take care of yourself. I want to start by focusing on why is it that I win? Why is it that I win? My degrees are in human services. I know human beings. I know how they think, what they feel, and I'm very accurate at predicting their behaviors given certain stimuli. Let me give you a little bit of a summary because many law firms are going to be looking at this, many corporate executives are going to be looking at this and go, what the hell, he's just a fat old man sitting in an easy chair. What kind of a threat is he? Well, let me explain if I'm a threat or not. First of all, my goal is always to settle. When somebody is disabled and they're asking for a reasonable accommodation, reasonable, kind, educated, professional people usually will just accommodate. I hate to say it, but I'm going to stick with my numbers. 85% of the world is stupid, even executives, even attorneys. I checked today. I have 3 AI systems I use all day long. All day. GPT, Bard, Alexa, Google Assistant, AI chatbot. I use them all day long, checking law, checking state laws, etc., etc. I found out, and AI has confirmed it, that every attorney in the whole world in the United States never had a class, ever. Usually takes 80, 90 units to become an attorney. Now, one of those units is teaching any attorney at any time how to defend against a pro se, which means, fancy word, defending yourself. They don't know how to defend against a pro se litigant. If you're a plaintiff and you're going up against an attorney, you're going up against a child. 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old child. You don't have to look at their fancy tie and their 3-piece suit and their wingtip shoes and their law library, which is ridiculous now because everything is on video. All that impressionistic facade that they put on, they have no idea how to defend against you. Yeah, they know procedures. Yeah, they know evidence rules. Yeah, they know what's allowed, what's not allowed. But you know what they don't know? Their rules mean nothing. Nothing. You, as a pro se litigant, have a right to say to the judge, I need a reasonable accommodation. I can't produce that within 20 days. I'm handicapped. I need 40 days. The judge is going to go, yeah, 40 days will be okay. Because that's a reasonable accommodation. Your opposing attorney is going to fall off his chair. He's going to think, it's always 10 days, 15 days. He just got 40 days? How did that happen? I've never seen that before. You're not playing defense anymore. You're playing offense. The defense is only going to react to you. You're going to determine what you're going to say, what you want to do, and as long as you're not frivolous, as long as you're not being malice, as long as you are truly handicapped and you're asking for an accommodation in the court proceedings, rules, regulation, evidence rules, etc., etc. Every damn rule in every courtroom in the United States has to accommodate you. I told you, only two exceptions. One, if it's an undue burden. In a court, if it has to do with the court proceedings, that's not undue burden and expensive. And the other one is that if it substantially changes the court, like if you want to bring an airplane into the courtroom for your transportation because you're handicapped, that ain't gonna fly. So there's only two exceptions that they don't have to give you accommodations. And please, please be aware, hope that they don't give you the accommodation. Now, you can sue them, and they don't know that. They don't know that. They think they're immune. They're not immune. If you ask for an accommodation and they say, no, we're not going to do that, basically they have to justify that. They usually, in accommodations, will write a letter in writing why they're not granting the accommodation. It's not required. A court and an attorney, it should be smart enough to put it in writing, but they may not. They may not. So, you have the distinct advantage over the law firm. I don't care how many attorneys are in that law firm, not one of them has had a legal class out to defend against a pro se litigant. They're only trained to go up against other attorneys, and they have to be ethical. You don't have to be ethical. You have a tremendous advantage. Now here's another advantage that I'm going to throw out there. A lot of the people who basically would use my services don't have a lot of money. They're people who probably don't have big paychecks and pensions and a lot of assets and resources. I'm going to teach you how to become indigent on paper. That qualifies you with an application to the court. You don't have to pay any fees to the court. You can get free depositions. You may be able, under some circumstances, again, a little of a gray area, get expert witnesses, etc., etc. You don't have to pay for subpoena participants to come and testify. Suddenly, being poor, you have unlimited resources. Your opponent doesn't. Your opponent is representing somebody who doesn't have endless money. I don't care if they're Walmart, Chase Bank, a hospital, a government agency. They don't have endless money. Eventually, the opposing party defendants, representatives, are going to say, well, how much is this really going to cost us? They're not paying anything. And they can go forever. Our resources are limited. Even if they charge $1 million or $2 or $3 million, yeah, we may have that, but what happens if we run out of money? This little pro se person can keep going. Attorneys don't know that. They know now because I put it on YouTube, and everyone that I advise and show how to be pro se, and myself being pro se, now they know. I will teach you, excuse me, to be judgment proof. I will show you not to have resources that can be taken for judgments. If you have no house, you basically have no cars in your name, you have no personal property, if you have any retirement such as Social Security or military, that's all exempt. It doesn't matter in a million years that there is a judgment against you. If the attorneys get real fancy and they go, well, we're going to sue you back and we're going to sue you for $1 million. They want you to quake. Don't quake. Let them get a judgment. You don't even have to show up. Let them get a default judgment for $1 million. The next step is they have to get an execution of the judgment. The court has to order you to turn over anything you have to settle that judgment. Sorry. If you have nothing, what do you have to lose? And the attorneys have just spent $90,000 getting a judgment against you, which is useless. And they can go to their client and say, well, we sued them and we won. And their people they're representing are going to go, well, we won, but where's the $90,000? And the attorneys are going to go, well, and we call this the monkey spread. That's humans going, oh shit, I don't know, we screwed up. A judgment is no good if you're judgment proof. Now, you have to be careful because you can be charged with contempt. You're not exempt from the court fining you money and or even putting you in jail for contempt. You always want to be polite. You always want to do what the court tells you to do. But make sure you put on the court record, I don't agree with this motion being denied. I'm handicapped and I'm asking for a reasonable accommodation. That will all be written down by the court reporter or the video these days. They many times don't have a court reporter anymore. That job is going by the wayside. So, you have basically nothing to lose. Even if they countersues you, what company wants their name in the paper with you sitting there with no legs and the paper saying Walmart, Chase Bank, Bank of America is suing this man or woman that has no legs because they wanted to open a bank account and the bank said no. How do you think the bank is going to feel about that publicity? I'm going to teach you how to use social media, rating, Yelp. I'm going to show you how to get newspapers to come to your house. You're disabled. They want to see this lawsuit that you put against this great big huge corporation. How did you know how to do that? And the reporter's going to come and say, we want to do a story on you, Mrs. Smith. You're suing this big corporation. How did you learn how to do that? Who's representing you? You say, well, I'm representing myself. How does that make that huge bank and corporation look? If they don't look like a horse's ass, you don't understand human beings, corporate America, and the system that we use here in the United States to be making money. When a corporation gets that on the front page of a local CNN, ABC, CBS, Fox, whatever, they don't want that. They spend millions and millions to advertise their good name. They spend millions and millions to convince the public we love people, we're people-oriented. And here you are sitting in a wheelchair with a cane and your head wrapped because you have a mental disability and no legs, and this big corporation is suing your ass. All the millions that they spend in advertising is now totally wasted and totally gone. Now, they're not going to give up quickly. In legal terms, yeah, they are going to give up quickly. But in your mind, if you think it's going to be a week or two, no, you better look out 3 to 6 months. I usually get stuff done within 3 to 6 months because it takes their attorneys a long time to research AI, Westlaw, and their colleagues and go, we got a pro se litigant that just sued us for $1.5 million. Never sue under $1.5 million. They have ruined your life. You have every right to recover damages for what they've done to you by refusing accommodation and helping you be able to be equal to services. Now, here are some of the tricks, and they're putting this video up in their big desk. This seats 24 people, mahogany desk, and expansive and corner windows, going, what the hell? This guy seems to know how to screw us. We've been screwing people for centuries. And now the people are learning to stand up for themselves, and we're getting screwed. Let me get back on point. You are going to be able to manipulate social media, and they can't erase it. I'm going to show you how to get on YouTube. Name the company. Anyone that goes onto YouTube and looks up Smith's Market or Walmart or Chase Bank, Bank of America, hospitals, your video is going to be right there. They're going to probably ask you to remove that video. And you can say, well, I can remove it, but it costs me around $10,000 to make that video with my time and my getting YouTube and whatever. Why don't we just stipulate? Stipulate means sign a piece of paper agreeing. Usually they want to stipulate not admitting guilt. Nah, that doesn't hurt you unless you're a vindictive, revengeful, stupid person. You're willing to stipulate that they give you $10,000 for your time and trouble and for removing the video so that the world does not continually see for the next 200, 3,000 years that they screwed a handicapped person and you had to sue them to get them to behave and to obey the law. I'm going to teach you how to get your money back. I've already promised you, and it's on video, a warranty. If what I teach and advise does not produce results, you get your money back from me. From me, I'll just send it right back to you with contingencies within 48 hours, because I know it works. I'm not afraid of that. Now, I want you to learn how to get your money back from the defendant. You spent a lot of time, you spent a lot of money, you've spent time building your case. Those are called compensatory damages. That means that the losing party usually has to pay compensatory damages. Now you can't just make up a number. You've got to be realistic. If you're paying yourself $10,000 an hour, no judge is going to give that as a compensatory damage. But if you can pretty much give reasonable and even documented what your time was and how much time you spent, the judge may say to the losing defendant, compensatory damage is $27,000. Now, in ADA law, you're also entitled, and this is a little bit of a gray area, punitive damages. Yeah, the judge can punish your losing defendant and fine them $100,000 punitive damages that you get. That area is a little bit rocky and a little bit shaky in different areas, but compensatory punitive is very realistic. Now, that's after basically it's gone to court and there's been a decision. I'm going to teach you how to negotiate a stipulated settlement before it goes to court. That's going to be good for you, and it's going to be very good for the defendants. After they hear this video, they're going to say, it would be a good thing just to give him the plaintiff $10,000 to get the hell away from the cockroach and cockroach information. I'm not defending you. I am not an attorney. I am not representing anybody except myself when I sue, and I am teaching and educating you how to be your own attorney. and get results. Get damn good results. Now, here's what I usually do. And I would advise people, as a legal consultant, not an attorney, how to put together a good lawsuit. One that you're never going to lose. You're never going to lose. To build your case, first of all, I want you to call over and over and over and say very clearly on the phone, is this call being recorded? They're going to say, oh yes, we're going to intimidate the shit out of you because we control everything and everybody, and you're a wimp. You are being victimized. Well, if you want to roll over and play dead, be my guest, I don't care. How does that hurt me? The truth of the matter is, those recorded phone calls, are your evidence. You're going to put those in front of a jury, or you're going to warn them that that is basically your case. You called 27 times, you talked to Janet, you talked to Beth, you talked to Sam, you talked to this, you talked to that. It's all time recorded and stamped, the date and the time, and you make sure when you make those phone calls, you very friendly, very, very friendly. Don't you ever be obnoxious, because that's going to be read in front and shown to a jury. And if 12 people think you're an asshole, you're going to lose. You're going to damn lose. So, you build your case, phone call after phone call, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 15, 20, 30 phone calls, call different branches, call different locations of the same company, and make sure you say, are you recording this call? And they're always going to say, yeah, we're recording. Oh, okay. Now that surprises them. And you say, just in case I need to call you back or ask who I spoke to, would you mind giving me your name? Oh yes, this is Don Smith. Okay, Don, thank you very much. I'd like to open a bank account there, and I'm blind, and I wonder about your vetting and verifying who I am. Can you tell me basically how I can identify myself? And she or he is going to say to you, because I've done this, I've got 15 more people that I'm in the process of starting to sue. I know what the hell I'm doing. When they say, well, you have to have a current photo ID, and you say, well, I'm blind and I'm homebound. I can't go out of the house. They don't give too many driver's licenses to blind people. I don't have a driver's license, and my passport is expired, and I can't go down and renew it because I can't leave the house, and I don't have any military. Now this all circles, they don't know this shit, but I do. It circles around the Patriot Act. After 9/11, the Patriot Act requires banks, financial institutions, to make sure they know who is opening accounts, and that it's not money laundering, it's not a terrorist, and that you're not going to blow the bank up, and that you have drug money that's coming through. The Patriot Act is a good thing. It's not an evil thing. The way the banks and the institutions have interpreted it is they're stupid. They look across the street and say, oh, that bank does it this way, we're going to do it that way too. So you have the blind leading the blind. Now, they must accommodate you and vet you and verify who you are, no matter what the handicap is. The last time, and I'm going to start using names here because I can, and I'm going to be careful because other law firms are going to see this and they're going to say, well, we're going to call Mountain America Credit Union in Utah. He says that he dealt with them. I did. I'm telling the truth. And Mountain America would not give me a business account because I didn't have a driver's license, a state ID, a passport, or a military ID. I didn't have it. They said, you can't open an account here. I called and called and called. I'm going to say, 30 to 50 times. Always talking to a different branch. Always talking sometimes to the same people and requesting opening an account. And when they said to me, no, you have to have ID, we cannot open it, they're stupid. The Patriot Act doesn't say that. The Patriot Act basically says they have to verify. There's many ways to verify other than everybody looking at each other and the blind leading the blind go, well, they have to have a license, they have to have an ID from the state, they have to have a current military. They're all stupid. You have a huge group of monkeys that you're going up against, but you're smart. You just call. You're very friendly. Hi, Beth. How are you today? This is Jim Smith calling you again. I'm still interested in opening up a bank account there. Have you made any changes? Oh, you haven't. Okay. Would you basically tell me once again your name again, and you are recording this call, and basically you're saying because of my disability I can't open an account there. Is that a yes or a no? Oh, okay, it's a no. All right, well, thank you very much. You've been very kind, you've been very transparent, you've been very honest, and you're certainly representing your company. You are representing your company's policies and procedures. You are an agent. That's an important legal point. Very important legal point. They are representing Mountain America Credit Union. Now, that comes up in the future, and it's going to be totally in your favor. Because when and if you actually put a complaint together, this is what I suggest. When you put a complaint together, the opponent, the real attorneys, they have usually 21 days to answer your complaint. If they don't spend all their time and all their money to say, we don't think this is true, you win by default. The judge is going to put in a default judgment, you win. And most companies don't want $1.5 million in a judgment default, believe me. So, in that 21 days, they must answer. That didn't cost you anything to file or to prepare and put together your complaint. They're going to spend, and you know, this is 2023. These things will become very dated over the years, but I'm telling you, these days, they're going to spend probably in a corporation at least 10, maybe 15,000 just to answer your complaint. And their answer is going to be, we didn't do any of this, we're not guilty, and they answered it. Now it's a real lawsuit, okay? Now, with that filing, you have a right now to discovery. Fancy word for you investigating the company. Now, the reason that most law firms win against ordinary people and little law firms is they bury them. They bury them alive, and they don't do autopsies in these situations. All of the paperwork, all of the discovery, all of the question overwhelms everybody. And whoever puts in the most amount of motions, appropriate motions, whoever puts in the most amount of paperwork, burden on the other opponent, they usually win. The other person goes, God, this is too much. What do they want? It goes to negotiation. What do they want? Yeah, we give her 50,000, stipulated 50,000. We don't admit any guilt. Let's get the hell out of it. It's already cost us 15,000, and she seems to know what the hell to do, and this is going to be a fortune. It's just easier to give her the accommodation. It's the law. Let's go ahead and be nice people and give her what she deserves and has rights to have. Now, when I tangled with Mountain America, I spent 2, maybe 3 months calling and calling and calling, getting the name of the person on the tape, who I was talking to, their agent, representing the policies and procedures of Mountain America concerning a handicapped person trying to open an account. I got a good foundation, a very good foundation. Now, attorneys are going to say, well, they don't know how to do discovery. They don't know how to get evidence. They don't know the rules. That's what they're going to say. And they're going to charge their clients, whatever, $250, $350 an hour for bullshit information that is pretty much meaningless. Here's what you're going to do, and I'm going to teach you how to do it. You're going to say, when you finally get to the law firm, when you finally get, and I'll show you how to get there, to the management of the company, the corporation, the managers who are decision makers. You're going to be very kind, very soft-spoken, because when you're right, you're going to win. You don't have to jump up and down. You don't have to throw bananas at people. Yeah, they're monkeys, but don't throw bananas at them. Don't scream, don't yell, don't threaten. You just simply say, well, I have my case already all put together. The monkey spread. They're going to go, you have your whole case put together? Yeah. Well, could you tell us? What is the whole case? You don't have to tell them, but please do, because you're going to win. They're going to negotiate. They're going to give you what you want. Say, well, over the last 3 months, I talked to your people, your representatives, 53 times. And they put me on hold sometimes for 20, 25 minutes, but I hung in there. And then they came back and repeated certain information. But the summary is that they wouldn't open an account for me. And they recorded all of that. They said they recorded all of that. Now be careful. It's not against the law for them to say they recorded it. They may not have recorded it. They may say, oh, we say that to scare people, but we have no recordings. Well, outsmart them. Because you're going to say in that conversation with the law firm, well, my case is all put together. All I'm going to do is subpoena your phone recordings of me and your people, deuces tecum. Fancy word meaning paperwork, videos, programs, audio, visual, files, whatever. They have to go and open their files up. They have to find the file. They have to review it. You're going to drive them insane. You're going to ask for a subpoena, deuces tecum, of all the phone recordings that were made by them, of you, and them speaking. You're going to get that. A judge in a million years is going to tell your defendant, that needs to be done. Do it now. If they have any brains as attorneys, they know that is part of the case, and a motion to strike it, or a motion to, it's too broad, all that bullshit emotion stuff is not going to fly anywhere. You have a right to get those tapes. Now, they may show their cards and go, well, we don't have any tapes. You say, oh, did you tell your people to lie for all the people that called in that are disabled, that you were recording the calls and you really weren't recording the calls? Is that what you're saying to me? Well, they're going to do the monkey spread. And they're going to say, we don't have any of those records. Smart. It's dumb. Because you're going to say, oh, okay, then the recordings I made, I'll just use them. They're going to do the monkey spread again. And then you're going to say, I have all of those recordings and the names of the people who were your agents that discriminated against me, and I have all of the wait time that you put me on hold. And I'm going to insist that when that's played to the jury is going to have to sit there for 35 or 40 minutes on hold, feeling, hearing, and seeing how you treated me. That's my whole case. I'm not going to do depositions. I'm not going to do expert witnesses. I'm not going to get into any of that shit. I'm just going to play your conversations and show that you lied to me, that you were recording them, and now that I've asked for them, you've had to admit you were lying. That doesn't look good in front of a jury for a big company to lie to disabled people like that. But the cockroach taught me that I should record the recordings also. I have those recordings, and you can deny my subpoena, ducis tecum, and say, there's no records, we don't have them. It doesn't really matter. You have them. You have them. Dead. Dead in the water. Your case is basically heard. Basically, the jury has said, we've heard those tapes, and this man with no eyes and no legs and with mental disorders was on the phone 37 times and talked to 37 different agents that all told him, I have to be careful because I don't want my real personality, told him, we're not going to give you any help. Now, because this is in a law firm, because this is in, corporate headquarters of big companies, they're looking at their attorneys right now going, does he know what he's talking about? And the attorneys are going to look down at their wingtip shoes and go, wow, and they're going to do the monkey spread. We think we can beat him. Yeah, for $1 million of your money, we're going to fight the cockroach. Who's going to win? Who's going to win? Even if we're going to sue him for libel and slander, he said attorneys are this and that. That's okay. Me and you are judgment proof. They have to execute the judgment. There's nothing to get. It's a waste of time and money just trying to scare you and I. Now, again, whoever makes the other party do the most paperwork usually will win. Because the other party goes, this is too expensive, it's too complex, we don't want to deal with this. Now, if you're an attorney and you're watching this, let me give you this, and I gotta choose my words carefully. Let me give you this piece of educational information. If you have never gone up against a pro se litigant, if you did not have special training in ADA law, if you don't know the rules, regulations of federal court under the ethics of your state bar, you have to refer this case to somebody who knows what the hell they're doing. Because your clients who are watching this video right now go, is he right? Have you ever had an ADA class or information? Have you ever been up against a pro se litigant? Well, he's going to do the monkey spread again. You're going to say, you need to refer this to somebody who knows what the hell they're doing. Because if your attorneys take this little project on, and they don't know what the hell they're doing, they're going to have to basically be responsible if you make a charge against ethics that they were not qualified to hear and make decisions based upon their education, experience, and knowledge. At the same time, let me tell the attorneys, and they're, under the table by now and not by the water cooler, that you also have a right, anybody You don't even have to be involved in a lawsuit. Anybody has a right to make a complaint against an attorney who's licensed to the Bar Association. Do you know how long that takes an attorney to untangle that mess? Do you know how expensive it is for an attorney who gets an actual complaint against them as an attorney, the investigation, the hearings, the evidence, etc.? And here's something that I think is funny. Have you ever heard people say, well, we know that when you defend yourself, you have a fool for a client. You know who made that up? Attorneys. They need your money. They don't want you to think you're going to win in 10 billion years. And they've got the public pretty much bamboozled. The attorney that says anyone who defends himself has a fool for a client, their motivation for that, and I'm giving my opinion, I'm just giving my opinion, which I have a right to do, and I'm legally safe giving my opinion. That is an attorney who's trying to make a payment on his Mercedes. That's an attorney who just bought his first airplane. That's an attorney trying to make the country club payment and his golf buddies vacation. You don't have a fool for a client. If you learn these techniques and principles, you have a genius for a client who's going to run over law firms that have big names and big reputations. You're going to be a Mack truck running through the front of the building and having those attorneys learn how to handle a pro se litigant. They don't have the training, they don't have the experience, and all they know how to do is intimidate and try to scare you. They're going to countersue you and get a judgment and take your home. You're not going to have a home in your name. You don't have to be afraid of any of that crap. Any of that crap. Now, we're going to burden them legally, not frivolously, and not with malice. But on a lawsuit, you have a $1.5 million, plus you have $300,000 in compensatory damages. You have other damages that you can list. Now, I will teach you how to, before that goes to court or goes anywhere, that you're going to make them a bona fide, legal, legitimate offer. If they respond to you within 25 or 30 days, they only stipulate to $25,000 and no admission of guilt. If they make you wait 60 days before they get off the leather chairs and the corner window view, it's going to be $50,000 for a stipulated settlement. If they go 90 days, it's $75,000. That's 3 months. Now, at the end of 90 days, the stipulated offer is dead. The lawsuit goes forward. Now, you're not stipulating to anything. You are suing that corporation as a handicapped person, and you have sued them for $1.5 million. Now, the local news people, somehow, they find out that this big, expensive, wonderful corporation has just been sued for $1.5 million by a man with no arms, no legs, no eyes, bipolar, borderline personality, been in a mental institution. You think that's going to be on the back page of the newspaper? Or do you think that won't be a lead story in the local newspaper where that corporation is owned? I'm thinking, I don't want to name certain companies because that may not be appropriate. But when the news people find out you have sued that company, legitimately sued them that you're not threatening to sue. You've given them every opportunity to settle. They didn't settle within the 90 days, and they have forced you to go forward. Okay? Again, millions they've spent on their reputation is going down, and I have to be careful because this is in a law office. It is going down a disposal machine. I'm not going to call it a toilet, but anyway. Now, we've come to the point where you've given them every chance. You have warned them how you're going to defend. You're going to use their phone calls. And when they say to you, lying, probably, but it's possible, we don't have any phone calls. We just say that to scare people. That's not illegal. I think it's unethical, and I think if the public knew that, the public would look down on that corporation. But you certainly can say, well, that's okay. I recorded every call. I'm going to play my calls to the jury. They're going to do the monkey spread again and go, God, this person has got us coming and going. No attorney in his right mind would have ever thought this shit up. I have never seen this before. I've never heard of this before. I have no training and I have no experience of how to defend this corporation against that nightmare. That is our worst nightmare coming at us. If they're smart, and most aren't. If there's 24 attorneys sitting in an office right now, you're going to have 3 or 4 that are pretty much brand new. They don't know anything. And then you're going to have, several that have medium experience and go, we're going to get this guy. We win all the time. O.J. Simpson got away. Anyway, you're going to have a little group of those attorneys that, their ego and their pride is going to overtake their judgment. And they're going to charge the corporation millions of dollars saying, we can win this guy. He's stupid. He's bald. He's fat. He just has YouTube. Then you're going to have, a third, maybe, of the attorneys who are probably 48, 50, 53, going, God, I've been an attorney for 40 years, and I've never seen anything like this. And I'm going to do my homework and check out what he's saying, but if he's right, I have to not use my construction language, we're screwed. This may be a nightmare, and a nightmare we don't want to get involved in. The publicity, a handicapped person suing us because we won't open a bank account for them, how does that make us look? I'd give him $25,000 for his time and his effort, say that we're not guilty of admitting guilt of anything, and let the person get their accommodation and pay them for the time and troubles that they've incurred because we haven't obeyed the law. Now, all of those attorneys are going to be mixed together in a law firm. They're going to come from different backgrounds, different personalities, different genders. I'll tell you a secret. Female attorneys are much better than male attorneys. Male attorneys, I used to sell insurance with New England Life for years, and the stupidest people, again, my own experience, I'm not saying it to the whole world, I'm not accusing the whole world, but as an insurance agent who was on the $1 Million Round Table, check that out, was basically Rookie of the Year at New England Life, etc., etc., etc. My experience was the most uninformed, I'm not going to say stupid, I should say stupid, but I'm going to say uninformed clients that I ever sold were attorneys. They had no idea how insurance really worked and didn't know health, disability, they had no idea of cash value, whole policies, term policies, securities, annuities, they had no idea. No idea. So anyway, you're going to have a bunch of those attorneys clustered in that group, counseling and saying, What's our strategy? We've analyzed this guy. Now, you always want to know what you're up against. Don't be stupid. Don't just, I think, I hope, I wish, I predict. Bullshit. You do your homework like I do my homework. Look up. When they see my YouTube, they're going to see Introduction 1, and now this video, Introduction 2. The first video was 30 minutes, this one's longer. We have already cost, if you've got 20 attorneys sitting in an office looking at this, it's $250 an hour for each attorney times 20. They've already spent thousands and thousands just looking at your video, going, God, we've already put out $5,000 just looking at the video. If we have to deal with these people, it's going to be unbelievably expensive. That causes attorneys to think, well, maybe we should negotiate. I'll tell you another secret about attorneys. Most, and I'm not going to give a number because I don't know the number, but most, over 51% of all the attorneys in the United States have never been in court. They've never been in front of a jury. They've never been in civil cases in front of a jury. They've never been in front of a judge. They don't know basically courtroom procedure. They're not known in the community. They're little negotiators that fall under the cracks and behind bushes. And you know, there's real estate and investment attorneys that have no idea what you're doing. You're suing federal law and state law concurrently. The monkey spread. All those attorneys just heard me. You're not going to just sue them in Idaho, in Montana, in North Dakota, Massachusetts. You're going to sue them in two places at the same time. Simultaneously and concurrently is the legal term. Both. You're going to file your action pro se. They don't know this. They don't know this, but you do now. You can walk right into a federal court representing yourself. You don't have to go through any lower